Do you want to know what is the problem of kids today? The problem of kids today are the kids of yesterday. And the problem of the kids yesterday are the kids before them. And the problem of those kids were the kids before them. We are blaming the kids of today in such a simplistic way without understanding where it all started. It all started with survival. We didn't have options. We could not even be different. I mean, you couldn't even be wanting anything different than what society offered to you, because that's what was needed before. That was needed at the time. You couldn't even be gay. Barely you could be a woman. We all had to survive, but most people don't overcome their survival mechanism. They don't overcome the adaptations, what they had to do so they could survive. So we treat kids with the same instinct of yesterday. What worked yesterday doesn't work today. And that's the blind spot. That's the blind spot of our education. That's the blind spot of our parenting and of how society treats our children. We didn't have emotional attunement. Doesn't matter how good your parents were. There is very little chance that you had emotional attunement because it's so new. People couldn't have any kind of emotional attunement or emotional intelligence because they had to survive. That's the thing. You Finnish people had to go through war, extremely cold, hunger, and you had to survive. There is no time for emotional attunement. So the kids are raised by themselves. They are raised as, you don't have saying here, you don't have to complain because now we have to survive. You have to do work. My partner tells me is that when he got to 7th grade or 6th grade, I don't know, older kids would bully you, would actually lift you and put your head on into the toilet. I mean, what kind of consciousness did we have before? We didn't have any kind of emotional attunement. On the same note, watch an old movie, watch like Ghostbusters. It's embarrassing. Like, I can't believe that people were like that. For that kind of consciousness, our school systems, our institutions worked. And now people are so amazed that why it doesn't work. Think about it. Before, you couldn't be gay. You couldn't have your own feelings. You couldn't say that you feel something. You couldn't cry. What is left for you to do than be just like everybody else, to follow the beaten path? You don't dare to do anything different. And that's how we survived. Now we don't have the same things. We don't have to survive. And so we have more options. Children see more things. We are capable of seeing that we can learn things so much faster. You can take a new course and learn it in 1 week. Where before you would have to go to school and sit many hours to learn something very simple. So now we are taking the same institutions, the same system, the same educational system, and giving to children that doesn't fit in that system anymore, and wondering what's wrong with them. It's their parents, it's their phone, it's social media. No, it's not. It's not, because I was that kind of child. And even though I'm 25, I didn't have phone back then when I was a kid. And I was the same kind of child. I couldn't learn things in school. I had to work so hard for the very minimal things. Until 5th grade, everything was okay. After that, I couldn't learn. It was so hard. It was so difficult because I was not interested. I was always thinking something else. I was always wondering and asking questions. So I spent my whole life thinking I was stupid, something's wrong with me, when actually the system didn't give me what I needed. It didn't give me to this kind of person what I needed, a path, or it didn't mirror there was no examples of people like me at that time. Now kids are all like that, because they don't think that just because you had to survive that they have to. You done the work, you did a great job. Now kids, they don't have to survive. What they will have to survive is emotional intelligence. They will have to survive a sharp perception, because AI is being able to do whatever. It's taking images and videos and using your voice to cheat you, to cheat on your kids in the future. And if kids don't have perception, if they just go to school to follow, to try to fit into a mold that fit to few kind of kids, not to all the kids, it doesn't fit them. And then we have to put all kind of support, all kind of small groups here in Finland. We put kids who cannot focus in class, they put them in small groups. You give it a label. You already make the kids feel bad just by doing that, just by making them feel that something's wrong with them. So the child who doesn't fit, who has a very strong calling elsewhere, who doesn't truly know what they want, they don't have a path, they don't have options. So they become restless in class, they cannot pay attention, they are distracted, they interrupt, they refuse. They don't want to participate because it doesn't make sense for them. That's it. It doesn't make sense for them. So what do we do for them? And instead of actually asking questions like, what is this behavior trying to show me? What is this kid interested at? What would get his attention? We call it, we start thinking that the child is the problem. The behavior is the problem, because before we could control behavior, we got beaten up. I got beaten up my whole childhood. It's easy to control a child when you're beating them up. And now that these kind of things, it's not happening anymore. You're not beating kids up. Schools are not beating kids up. They're having less control of them. And they are not the only option, because kids can see elsewhere a lot of options, a lot of ways that people are living their lives and succeeding at it and becoming happy at it, not having to fit into a box and become unhappy forever after, unfulfilled, and not understanding why I feel so empty. What is the purpose of my life? Like, what is the point of all of this? So I'm just gonna drink, I'm just gonna have sex, I'm just gonna try to fill that emptiness with whatever else. And it's not their fault. It's not the people's fault who do that. It's how we have lived, how our society has constructed this. And suddenly a child's response to an outdated environment become classified as misbehavior. The child is the problem. We call the misbehavior the problem, when actually the misbehavior is the only way left the kid has to communicate. Is the only way the adult will pay attention. And the child who sits bored and quietly comply is actually the child who has learned to lie, who has had to lie to be accepted. And that's the environment we are giving them. That's the kind of future we are giving them. There is a difference between managing behavior and understanding what produced it. And to understand what produced it, you're gonna have to look in the mirror.